Hello everyone and welcome back to Let's Play Hearts of Iron 4, The New Order, Last Days of Europe with me, Alpha by Omega, and Empire of Japan. So we have ended the last episode in the moment when we finished the maximizing growth, but the game crashed and I wasn't able to actually save it. It was a really weird crash because it didn't actually happen, just all of the menus disappeared. I have a feeling that has something with the graphical assets of the mod, but anyway, we are one day back in the past, and we have all of the events and things that we had in before, so we're just going to read through them. Then we're going to finish the maximizing growth, select the next focus, and then we're going to deal with the Navy, because that's something that I postponed since episode number 3, and I would like to finish it today because I finally came up with a plan for myself. So let's start with the burning files. The detective failed to find anything in interest. Anything of interest in the area immediately around where the body had been found. It's the murder we have started a couple of months ago. Someone might as well have gone over it a few times with a mop before they arrived, given how spotless it was. Whoever had done the deed had ensured to be as careful as possible, or they were an especially diligent cleaner. Dreading the thought of repeating the same process in other areas of the plant, the detective stepped outside to examine the grounds as well as possible points of entry. I apologize, it's a weird sentence and there's a typo in there. As he stepped outside and began walking towards the south end of the massive concrete building, he smelled something, the faint, sharp odor of burning paper. As he drew closer, the smell grew stronger, but there was no accompanying smell of burning tobacco that would have suggested a cigarette as its source. Hurrying now, he jogged around the corner of the plant and followed his nose past some piles of crates and boxes until he found the source, a pile of smoldering papers starting to curl and blacken from the heat of the flames. The detective sprinted over to the stack and began stomping at the flames until they guttered out and sent small streams of smoke up to the night sky. The detective then gingerly picked up the damaged files, brushed off the dirt that had previously been on the bottom of his shoe, and began to read. Just in the nick of time. Okay. The collapse of the Triumvirate. In the wake of the bombing of the Triumvirate conference in Malta, it would appear as though whatever chances the fragile alliance had went down in flames. The incident proving to be the final straw for many, both the Caudillos and the Turkish president have now declared their respective countries' desire to leave the alliance. The incident proving to be the final straw for many. Both the Caudillos and the Turkish president have now declared their respective countries' desire to leave the alliance. With two of the alliance's three major powers leaving, it is safe to say that the days of the Triumvirate are over. Already Turkey has made fresh calls for its territorial rights and ambitions in the region to be respected, particularly in regard to Cyprus and the Levant, with the Italian military being mobilized in response to the Turkish movement in Syria. On their part, the Iberians have expressed little desire to keep up significant relations with their former allies, Iberia instead looking inwards towards its own problems. It was only a matter of time, so the power block in the Mediterranean has fallen. We have Italy over here, we have Turkey over here, and Iberia over here. So they have, fairly nicely separated. I wonder if there's going to be a war between Turkey and Greece. It would only be logical. Showa no Yokai. Yes, the shipment of 1570 units of logs is delayed. If your excellency could excuse me, I'm running several major shipping operations right now. The shipment to Rio June must be delayed for fears of complications. Farewell, Prince Takeda. I will receive you again shortly. Kishi Nobusuke hung up the telephone and let out a deep sigh before pouring himself a glass of wine. Domain Christophe Chatillon, Provence, 1954 vintage. It's just business, Kishi thought to himself as he flipped over the ledger. Plain and simple, the ledger had become famous for being the devil's handbook among Kishi's subordinates, opponents, and sometimes allies. Procurement, 1,570 units of logs, Chinese settlement 70 kilometers west of Harbin. Get Colonel Takashi to ensure all logs are in workable conditions. Shipment to Showa Steelworks, Ryojun Complex, logs to be processed and sent immediately to resource extraction. Legally speaking, a deputy such as Kishi would not have access to such resources, let alone such executive capacity over state-owned operations in another sovereign state. However, Manchukuo, or Manchu, as Kishi insisted, was his personal point of pride. Who else could have industrialized an uncivilized, savage backwater in such a short period of time, and even transformed it into the Empire's industrial heartland? I see Girapui. Nope, that's not him. Kishi flipped to another section of his ledger, this time with the label Liabilities and Hazards at the top. The first page was bathed in red stamps, signifying liability eliminated, almost political metaphorical for the sheer bloodshed exemplified on this page alone. Bureaucrats, officers, politicians, students, nobody escaped the eye of the devil of Showa. Kishi rang the intercom button at the bottom of his desk. Schedule a meeting with General Muto Akira, Thursday, next week, at the Tsukiyabashi Jiro, the Manchuria connection. Interesting. Okay, so let's finish the maximizing growth. Okay, that gave us the event The Wolves Who Cried Boy. Okay, that decreases public approval but increases reformist faction power by 2.5%. And it takes a village. And that we wanted to go with meet with investors. That gives us another GDP growth increase. Among the most important figures keeping the economy of the sphere running are the investors of the Empire. These hard-working and moral men wisely use their funds to invest in the Empire's prosperity and help grow it further. The most prominent of these are the Zaibatsu, who pour money into Japan's projects within the sphere to bring further prosperity and harmony. We shall talk to these men and see if they are willing to give more of their finances and spirit to empower Japan. The Wolves Who Cried Boy. Scandal. Politician undermines the emperor. Akiyama Yukio slipped out of the door just outside the National Diet, wearing a brown long coat and deep shaded glasses. He held his fedora as he skipped down the steps, ushering himself out of the view of the crowds of press. Yelling and commotion beat at him as cameras clicked and flashed. The rush of questions and accusations filled the thick air with embarrassment and flushes of confusion. Akiyama coughed up scattered replies and broken insults towards the tumbling masses of reporters, blinded by the flashes of more cameras, unable to get a word in amidst the allegations tossed in his face of rival politicians in the Diet. A microphone was hurried in his face, prompting him to answer for his crimes. Akiyama cleared his throat and explained his criticism of extrajudicial killings in northwest China by the military, even detailing his support for the same legal system in which the emperor was the sovereign of. Before he could finish a statement, the reporter hissed back at him, scoffing with more extreme accusation of treason. Akiyama's face cowered further in frustration, and he rushed through the crowd of reporters, slandering his every step. Images of his face circulated in the press the next day, branding him as a traitor and an opportunist, followed by news of his resignation. His words to condemn military operation in China were shortened and trimmed to fit the articles, most branding him as a threat to the empire. The news, although alarming, quickly siphoned him out of political affairs, and discussion of the violent happening was not to occur again. So public approval decreases, the reformist faction power increases, as we discussed before, but we should still be okay. Yeah, public 46%, and reformists gain a little bit of power, but we want to, well, we'll have to invest a bit more into our campaign. It takes a village. By saving the files from their fiery fate, the detective had catapulted the case forward where it had previously been lagging. It was no wonder that the killer had wanted these files destroyed, as they were essentially the blueprints of the crime itself. First and foremost was a profile of the victim, identified in the files as Yoshikage Shinji, a local taxman employed at one of the offices in Tokyo. The files gave a rough description of him and his habits, alongside a slightly blurry headshot. It detailed his usual route to work at his typical shuttle, not so clearly that one could trace it exactly, but clear enough to indicate that Yoshikage had been watched. The files also gave some information about the fish plant where the body had been found, however. The name, address, hours of operation, and grounds layout were all provided in a series of curtly typed notes. Given how complete the description of the property was, combined with the details about work schedules and routines, it was also clear that someone with insider knowledge of the plant had been involved. It seemed obvious that the killer had been assisted by at least one other party. If it had been the killer himself who knew the information, why bother to bring it with him to the scene of the crime? But who could have been in a position to help the killer, and why would someone involved with a fish plant want to kill a taxman? Find the helping hands. Interesting, we got a murder mystery. So now to the Navy. Well, we got 3 ships in training. So we'll let them draw. It's Chikuma Tsukaba class cruiser. We have a submarine here, I-51, and Tsugaru corvette. Now, when it comes to our main fleet, that one will separate into 4 fleets. We'll have the first Kantai, that is going to be located in Hawaii. It's going to be the biggest one. Second Kantai is going to be located in Irianpura. There's a pretty decent port over here. The third fleet is going to be located here in Port... Actually, we could put it in Bukit Mertajem, the newly conquered port, as a sign of power. And the fourth fleet is going to be a home fleet, which is going to be the smallest one, mostly comprising of cruisers and smaller ships. And the subs are going to be located in the same places. We're going to split them, I guess, in 3 fleets. So we're going to have one in Hawaii, one there, and one there. So let us start with it right now. So we get 12 carriers. I'm going to split them. That's not what I wanted, but okay. Okay, now you guys gonna go here. And you'll be split, and you'll be split. And you shall be split. God damn it. Okay, like so. So we have first Kantai, second Kantai, and third Kantai. This Yamato class refit is going to be... God damn it. I'm doing something wrong here and I cannot figure out what. Okay. So this is going to be the fourth Kantai that's going to be located in Tokyo. We'll split the other battleships between the 3 fleets. Now we get 63 cruisers. I'm going to put 15... Okay, let me separate them. Let me just say 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. You're gonna be part of the first Kantai. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. That's gonna be part of the second fleet. Is it 15? Yep. And the next 15, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. They're going to be part of the... nope, that is wrong. They're supposed to be part No, it is right. Yep, this is the 4th fleet. So the 18 cruisers are going to be part of the 4th fleet, and here we got the corvettes, destroyers, and frigates. I think, what are the corvettes like? Are they submarine hunters? No, they're torpedo boats. And the destroyers? Come on, where are the destroyers? Those are submarine hunters. Okay, so we're gonna split them into 3 ships of 20, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Sorry about that, but I'm trying to do it live so that you guys know the logic behind this. Okay. So this 10 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that is 20. We're going to part on the first Kantai. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is going to be part of the second Kantai. And 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You're going to be part of the third Kantai, and only 14 destroyers are going to be part of the 4th fleet. And now we have 151 here. We'll split the frigates in half. Whereas the... Okay, we'll split them in half. That's 46. So let's split them in half. That's 23, 23. Okay, that actually makes sense. So 23 to you, 23 to you, 23 to you, and the rest is 23, which are going to go to the main fleet, and the 59 frigates. I'm gonna split them in half. That's okay, 30. That makes sense. So 10 to each, and the rest to the home fleet. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, one more. And 1, 2. Okay, I can split this one in half. So 10 to you, 10 to you, and 10 to you, and 29 to the home fleet. Okay, so this ought to do it. We have the first Kantai over here. I'm just gonna have to rename it. So it's gonna be first Kantai. This one is going to be located in Pearl Harbor. We're gonna give the command to, Admiral Tanako Raizo. We can actually get... Okay, Lone Wolf is a good one for you, and we're gonna give you the Safety First and Crisis Magician. That is a really good commander. And the first Kantai is gonna be located, as we said, it's gonna be a battle fleet. We have... Okay, let's give you the star symbol. And you guys are gonna be stationed in Hawaii over here. So that's going to be your home front. Now the second Kantai is going to be commanded by Admiral Itoseichi. It's going to be the second Kantai. And this one is going to be located in the area that we have previously mentioned over here in Irianpura. And the third Kantai is going to be commanded by Kurita Takeo. It's going to be the third Kantai. And this one is going to be located in the newly gained port in Malaya, where we are going to be able to cover the surrounding territory. So Bukit Mertajem is going to be your home port. Okay. And the 4th Kantai is going to stay in home front, and you're going to get a Kajioka Sadamichi as your commander, because spotting is going to be good for you, because you will eventually play more of a role of a spotting fleet. Good, so that takes care of you. The leaky faucet gets the wrench. Because of how late it had been when the body was found, most of the plant workers had likely been long gone when the crime took place, their shifts having ended many hours before the call came in. That meant that for the most part, they would be able to provide very little detail about the circumstances of the crime when the detective came knocking. However, one worker, a shift lead, had been passing by the plant on his way home when he happened to see a suspicious figure on the property, and then decided to call the police. When the responding officer arrived, he led them inside to search the premises, where they found the body. While the detective and the forensic team worked the site, he had stayed to give his statement but left not long after. Eager to get a more detailed and complete testimony, the detective got his name from the deputies, who took his statement and confirmed it against the names of the dispatcher received during the initial call. Against the name the dispatcher received. Yep. Over the next few days, he had made several calls to the shift manager's listed number while intermittently interviewing other workers, but each time received no reply. Eventually, the detective got fed up and went to the man's address in person to confront him. But when he got there, he found the front door slightly ajar. After calling out a few times and identifying himself as police, the detective pulled his pistol from its holster and carefully entered the house. In the first room, past the front hall, the detective found the shift manager lying face down in a pool of partially dried blood. This is just the beginning. Well, okay. And now about you. We have two types of submarines here. The I-650 and I-600. So if we separate them, we get 18 I-650. So I think what we can do here is we can split you in 3 distinct submarine groups and have you stationed in the same places where your main fleets are, and gonna work as a support. And the 17 submarines of the older class are gonna stay back in the home port. For now, this is just a basic separation. We'll see what we can do with them down the line, but I like this initial setup because it gives us 4 major quadrants of coverage, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and the home fleet protecting the coast. Twins in death. Unfortunately, the shift worker was left in a aggressive state similar to that of the last victim. His chest and stomach were covered in nearly a dozen slashes and stab wounds. His neck bore a matching wound, deep and savage, likely the final wound that had drained the life from the poor man. And once again, the same ominous mark appeared gouged into flesh and accented by dried blood. Chinimoku, silence. This time, however, rather than being proudly and boldly displayed in the center of the chest, shift worker's mark was etched into his left shoulder. But where the previous victim's character had been smooth and deliberate, with neatly traced lines, this one was shaky and jagged. The killer must have been in a hurry, the detective concluded, basing his judgment of the comparatively sloppy work. This wasn't a carefully planned, premeditated murder. This was on a whim, or perhaps out of necessity. Just beyond the sign of the killer's gruesome haste, there was little more to be gleaned from the body. It seemed speed did not quite transfer to carelessness on the part of the killer. Still, the splatters and drops of blood found around the entryway demonstrated that this had been no simple task. The shift-lead must have fought every step of the way against the vicious assailant, fiercely resisting him from the moment he burst through the door right up until his collapse into the final resting place on the living room floor. But it wasn't enough. So Buryat Autonomous Soviet Socialist Republic was conquered by the Presidium of the Supreme Soviet. Okay, where is the Presidium? Okay, Irkutsk and Buryatia was destroyed. So, where is Irkutsk? Over here, and Buryatia was, who knows, somewhere else. Okay, well, either way, they are now gone. Guido installed in Argentina. While Arturo Frondizi's electoral defeat at recent legislative elections was certain to end his presidency, many placed hopes on reported attempts to forestall a military takeover and come to some sort of an alternate solution. Those hopes were validated earlier today as versions emerged of the convoluted and Byzantine process by which José María Guido, the president of the Senate, was convinced to succeed President Frondizi, whose own vice president resigned in 1958. President Guido, a well-known lawyer from Argentina's newest province, Rio Negro, is in a difficult position and remains under immense pressure from the military to annul recent elections. Argentine's democracy hangs by a thread, and the final file in the folder. After poring over and analyzing every line of the slightest singed papers, the detective at last came to the final page in the stack. It was folded in half, an uneven crease running horizontally across the page. The bottom right corner had been almost entirely burned away, leaving a ring of blackened paper in its place. As the detective opened it to read, some of the more brittle pieces of the charred page broken off, disintegrating into dust as they spun towards the floor. It was little more than a simple note. Lines of slightly faded typewriter text organized into an unimpressive paragraph, but as the detective ran his eyes over each character and absorbed the meaning of the text line by line, the note quickly became the most important paper in the pile. Per our arrangement, you are scheduled to meet our associate at exactly 7 minutes past noon, where the disposal equipment will be returned to you. Our associate has been told to expect a man wearing basic military fatigues, brown shoes, and a facial scar above the right eye. Ensure you strictly adhere to his description. Furthermore, we have repeatedly reminded you to avoid contact with your brother in the police force in the interest of security, and we hope we agree it would be in the interest of all parties if he were not involved. We sympathize with your concerns, Mr. Takahara. However, we assure you that when the job is complete, you will be paid for your time. I guess it really isn't personal, huh? And the Juanda plan. Prime Minister Inohiro Iya had been ignoring the specific stack of papers on his desk all month, until the Foreign Minister had specifically asked him for a response by the end of the week. The Prime Minister has groaned. He had to sign off a request from the Indonesians on top of the budget request, but if it had to be done, it would be done, somehow. He turned to the cover page of the document, emblazoned with the seal of the Republic of Indonesia, then flipped through the summaries attached to each section of the document. Infrastructure spending, industrial development, upskilling the labor force. The proposal from Prime Minister Juanda hit all the right notes when it came to addressing the problem of Indonesian development. Along the Indonesian design, Inohiro noted, the entire stated intent to phase out the Rumusha system over time, that source of labor the Zaibatsu had grown to rely upon, and develop Indonesia's resources on their own, was one that would elicit some rumbling of dissatisfaction in the business world, with ripple effects into the diet and the YSK. And of course, it wouldn't be cheap. Even if the promised returns on resources and output in Indonesia would entice the Zaibatsu to sign on with a capital stake, the amount they would need to spend upfront would make them turn to the government for some kind of guarantee, some skin in the game. The government will be Japan incorporated into Indonesia. This proposal died in the committee. Okay. So if we choose the government will be Japan into Indonesia, we add infrastructure into Jakarta, their government forces will be strengthened and we spend 0.4 billion, or we strengthen the resistance. Nope, we're gonna help our people, our puppets and our sphere members. And honestly, this barely made any dent into our national debt. Inflation is dropping, it's really good. Real GDP growth. Okay, surplus went up. Yeah, 5%. And debt to GDP is lost 0.4. Really nice. Oh, that was actually a question. Oh god, we're getting so many events. There was actually a question by Wolfau about our Taishin Shootdown division. He wanted to see what the Signal Company does. So Signal Company gives Breakthrough Initiative and HP. There would be there would be a lot of reason to, for example, give them support anti-tank or support anti-air. You were right. I wanted to check that a little bit later, but I think instead we will probably switch them for a logistics company, because that would lower their fuel usage and supply usage. And while that will make them, well, I don't know, let's leave this for later. I'm not entirely sure, but yes, the Signal Company is something that I would probably switch out. Maybe even the artillery support, because we could potentially give them an actual artillery support like this. So they would give them a huge penalty to attack and movement. But on the other hand, this soft attack and breakthrough and everything would make up for it. So it's a question of preference. Or we could just go with like artillery and anti-air like this. And then we could switch this one for logistics company. It would slightly increase combat width, but everything else would go up. We'd get a little bit of penalties. What if we made them motorized? Yeah, that would change it. So we would probably want to do it like this: motorized artillery and motorized anti-air. And while we would be at it, we can give motorized anti-tank. I don't know, maybe it's armored car or APCs, and that would make it combat with 25. And I'd be happy with this. That would actually probably make it really good. The APC gives some penalties, it would. But again, look at the numbers: defense, breakthrough, hardness. I think that would make it definitely worth it, even considering the small penalties we would get. Armored car would do way less. Well, we'll have to think about it. And there's no motorized or mobile elite infantry. Okay, well, we'll look into that a bit later. We don't have enough army experience anyway. So thank you very much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next episode, where we're gonna dedicate the 3 production units and continue with the stories that we have here. Damn, interrupted meeting and deadly oversight. Oh, what a beautiful name for event.